Hello, everybody. So we are here. This is a bit late, actually. This is supposed to have been for 2 days ago. I've been battling being sick, so bear with me. So as we see, and again, Abraham and took a wife, and her name was Kitaru. See if I can find a spelling of this or a okay, Ketara, Ketara, Ketara. Okay, which is wife's second Abraham's second wife, and she bore to him Zimran and Jokshan and Medan and Medan and Midian and Ishbak and Shua and Jokshan begot. So this Jokshan right here is this guy. Okay, so let's count them up. So for Abraham, we know, had Ishmael, and he also had Isaac. I don't know if there's any other ones aside from that. But we also have Zimran from the second wife, Jokshan, there's two, Medan and Midian, there's four, Ishbak and Shua. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids from the one wife. Okay. Now this verse 3 is talking about who was the children of Jokshan, just this person right here. Jokshan begot Sheba and Dinah. So Jokshan is the son or daughter, because it doesn't say which one it was. Let's see if it says a son or daughter. A son. Okay, so Jokshan is a son. So the son of Abraham from his second wife had two kids, Sheba and Dedan. I'm assuming Sheba is the female and Dedan is probably the male. And the sons of Dedan, so now they're talking about who came from the line of Dedan, were Eshrites, Letushites, and Leumim. Okay, so three different groups of people came from the line of Dedan. And the sons of Midian, that's this Midian right here, Midian, okay, so this is important because of the description it gives. If you look at the description, it says Midian, right? The territory of the tribe descending from Midian, located principally in the desert north of the River, land to which Moses went when he fled to Pharaoh. Now you remember, so just so you get context, later on, later on, Midian, if you remember, uh, Moses, he went and married a lady, and the lady was from Midian. Okay, so that's the same uh, area. Midian, this person, I believe, came from Midian. And anyway, and Medan and all these people, and then we have the Israelites. So now we have the sons of Midian were Ephah, Epher, and Hanak, and Abida, and Eldah. Okay, so we have these are sons, all sons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sons. And all of these were the descendants of Keturah, which is the wife that Abraham married, and gave Abraham all that he had to Isaac. So Abraham gave everything he had to Isaac. But to the sons of the concubines unto Abraham gave Abraham gifts. he sent them away. Okay, so the word concubines here is actually concubines, uh, kind of like another partner, if you will. So I'm assuming that, but to the sons, that would be referring to all the sons that came from Keturah. All these people listed here. Okay, so it says he didn't give them much of anything, but he gave them a little bit. Right? He gave them gifts. Right here, gifts, and sent them away. From Isaac, his son, right? So he gave him gifts from his son Isaac while he was still alive, living eastward to the country of the east. So some area in the east. I assume so, as I'm also recording on live YouTube. Sorry, guys, that was a slight distraction because I'm also on someone's live on TikTok at the moment in the comments. So I was using talk to text. Anyway, let's get back to what we were reading. And these are the days of the years of the life of Abraham, which he lived. So now it tells you how long he lived. Okay, 100 years, 70 and 5 years. So he lived 175 years. So in the Hebrew, they break it apart when they do years. They don't go, oh, it's 175. They break it apart. 100 years, and then 75 years, and then 5 years. Why they do that, I don't know. I don't know why they specifically break it all apart. Okay, I don't know why they break it all apart like. Anyway, so it gave you the age, 175 years he lived, and he breathed his last. That basically means his life ended, and died. Abraham in old age, good. So he was of old age, and he was very contented. That means he was happy with what he was given, satisfied, abounding, okay? And was gathered to his people to be buried, and they buried him, Isaac and Ishmael. So at some point, Isaac and Ishmael, his sons, both came together to bury their dad. Now, I would imagine Ishmael is probably not feeling too happy about being outcasted by Abraham's first wife, Sarah, as well as Abraham. But I would assume that at some point they set apart their differences and said, this is our dad, so let's bury him. And they buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron. That would be roughly where he started out. Son of Zahor, the Hittite, is which upon the face of Mamre, right? Mamre, strength or fatness, a oak grove in Palestine. The field which purchased Abraham. So basically, they buried Abraham where in a field that he had purchased from the sons of Heth there. So they're talking about in one of the previous videos I did, Abraham came upon the sons of Heth, if you remember that. And so he purchased some land from them, and that is where he ends up being buried. And he was buried there, Sarah, his wife, as well. And it came to pass after the death of Abraham that blessed God, meaning God blessed Isaac. So Yahweh, Elohim, Elohim, I think there's a him in it, I think. Elohim, I think is how they do it. God or the true God is, but Elohim, if you want to know what that means, so as you see on the screen, Elohim is a name of God used frequently in the Hebrew Bible. Okay, a name, not the name of God, a name for God, because He has many names. Now I'm going to try to listen to the sound and see if it tells me how it sounds.
Elohim. Elohim.
Elohim. Yeah, I was right. Elohim. It has a in it. Okay, so anyway, Elohim blessed Isaac. His son dwelt Isaac near Ber Lahai Roy. I don't know where that's at, so let's go try to find out where Ber Lahai Roy is. Okay, so I don't actually have to go anywhere to figure out where this is. It tells us. So Ber Lahai Roy is a well that is west of Kadesh, which is south of Israel. Okay, so he ended up being in a place that is west of Kadesh and south of Israel, okay, where Isaac was. And these are the generations of Ishmael. So now they're talking about the descendants of Ishmael. Now, why is that important? Because the descendants of Ishmael are basically the Muslim people. Okay, all of the peoples that are Muslims that are, I'm not going to say converted to Muslim, I'm going to say originally Muslim, meaning born of that kind of people, right? Those people came from Ishmael. Their ancestors were Ishmael. So, and these are the generations of Ishmael, son of Abraham. So Ishmael is actually a son of Abraham. So that means Muslims who are actually born as Muslims, right? Meaning, and I'm not talking about Islam as in the religion of Islam. What I'm talking about when I say born Muslims is they are born of the Muslim bloodline. Okay, those people that are born of the Muslim bloodline, they are descendants of Abraham. So that is true. Who was born of Hagar, the Egyptianess. So basically, the Muslim people, their DNA was that born of a sin, born of a act of adultery. Because in order for the Ishmael to even be born, Abraham had to have intercourse with Hagar out of wedlock, okay, by the order of his wife Sarah, which is why we see her. Hagar, the Egyptianess, maidservant of Sarah to Abraham, and these were the names of the sons of Ishmael by the names, according to the generations. So if you ever want to learn who the ancestors of Ishmael are in line, we have Ishmael, firstborn. We have Nebajoth, Kedar, Edbel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tima, or Tima Hadad, but I'm not sure if there's two people. Tima, the ninth son of Ishmael, and this is a son of Ishmael as well. So yeah, it's two people. Jatur, Nephish, Kedema. Okay, so those are the sons of Ishmael. These were sons of Ishmael, and these were their names by their towns and their settlements. So basically, all of these names became some sort of town or settlement that they ended up having. 2 and 10 princes. So I think that would be translated as 12 princes, according to their tribes. And these were the years of the life of Ishmael. So how old did Ishmael live? 100 years and 30 years and 7 years. So 137 years. Okay. And he breathed his last breath and he died and was gathered to his people. And they dwelt from Havilah, Mechavala. I think the NE there that you see, that is usually used for the word from. So the part that would be the name is Chavala. as far as Shur, which is upon the face of Egypt, so near Egypt. As you go towards Assyria, against the face of all his brothers, he died. So just in the manner of which he died, things like that. Not really all that important. And these are the generations of Isaac. So the first part was talking about the generations or descendants of Ishmael, which would be all of the blood-related people that became Muslims, that are blood-related Muslims. Okay, and now we have the other side, which is Isaac's people, the son of Abraham. Abraham had Isaac, right? And was Isaac 40 years old, right? So Isaac was 40 when he took Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, from Syrian, of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban, the Syrian, to him as wife, and pleaded with Isaac, Yahweh, or by God, for his wife, because she was barren. So Isaac basically begged God, hey, God, please grant me children. And Yahweh granted the plea, and Rebekah conceived, and she got pregnant, his wife, but struggled together the sons within her. That means, I'm guessing that means like there was movement around within Rebekah's body, because she basically had triplets. Okay, that's what that means. She basically had triplets. And she said, if so, why thus to me? So she went to inquire of Yahweh. She went to ask God, in other words, which is important. You know, when you want to know something, where do you go? That's the question. When you want to know something like, your basic question to figure out where you stand with God is, where do you go to find your answers? Where do you go to seek the answers? Where do you go to find out what you're looking for? Right? Because look where she went. That tells you what Rebekah was. She was a God-fearing woman who knew that God had the answers. She didn't go to a medium. She didn't go to a spiritist. She didn't go to a tarot card person. She went to God. And she said, and Yahweh said to her, 2 are nations in your womb. So basically, 2 of your children that are within you are going to end up being 2 different nations, and they will be the ancestor of 2 different peoples within you, and they shall be separated people, meaning they're not going to be people that are in union. Then the other shall be stronger. So one will be weaker, and the other will be stronger. One will be older. The older shall serve the younger. Now that would give you context later on, because if I'm understanding this properly, we have a story that's going to come up dealing with the older and the younger. In any case, she has triplets. 2 of the triplets within her are the ancestors of 2 different kinds of nations. And they're going to be at war within each other. Right? That's why it says separated. So when she fulfilled her days, that means when she fulfilled her life and her purpose, her days of giving birth. And indeed there were twins in her womb, and came out the first, Rudy, all over her cloak, hairy. So they call his name Esau. So there's one. And yeah, this is exactly the story that I thought it was. Okay, so Esau. But let me go back up, because I might have looked over something. She conceived, the sons, with her sons, not 3 sons. My bad. So there's sons within her, so not triplets. What would it be? Twins. Yeah. So I was wrong. At least on that part, I misread it. So there's twins within her. So correction to my words. She didn't have triplets. She had twins. And the 2 that are inside of her, they are ending up being the ancestors of 2 different peoples or nations. And these 2 nations are not going to be nations that are in agreement or at peace with each other. They're going to be nations that are divided. Okay. So the first one came out, I guess, hairy all over his body, very hairy, and he was called Esau. Right? Esau, the eldest. So now we get an identity of the older, the eldest son of Isaac. He was very hairy because his name Esau means hairy, right? And we'll see what happens because I don't want to give it away. And afterwards, so first Esau came out, and then his brother, who is younger, came out on the heels of Esau. So he's grabbing a hold of the foot of Esau. So what's called his name Jacob. Okay, Jacob means heel holder or supplanter. Okay, he is the second son of Isaac, and he is the father of the 12 patriarchs of the tribes of Israel. So basically, what that means is Abraham. I think it's saying son of Isaac, grandson of Abraham. So I think it's saying that Isaac, by that definition, I think it's saying Isaac. My bad, Jacob. Jacob is the ancestor of 12 of the patriarchs of the tribes of Israel. So do you remember somewhere in the New Testament there are thrones around the main throne in heaven, okay? And on these thrones sit the apostles, right? And they're going to judge over the 12 tribes of Judah, right? And so the tribes that it's talking about here, okay, when it says Jacob, 12 patriarchs of the tribes of Israel, okay? So those people that later on that would become, not the apostles, but that would become the direct ancestors of the 12 tribes of Judah, that is, Jacob is their ancestor. So let's go and take a look at that real quick. Okay, so here we go. We are looking at the screen, okay, and here is a list, right, of the 12 descendants of Jacob, right, that become the patriarchs of the 12 tribes of Judah. Okay? So we have Reuben, okay, we have Simeon, we have Levi, we have Judah, we have Dan, we have Naphtali, we have Gad, G-A-D, not G-O-D, okay, and we have Asher and Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin. Okay, and those last two names, as far as now, some of these names are going to make sense. Okay, now if that makes sense to you, right, you will recognize why, because Joseph is the one that gets sold into slavery. Benjamin is the brother who ends up. I think it's the Benjamin. He's the one that ends up, I think, being the youngest and the one that gets taken by Joseph in order to prove whether his brothers have changed or not. Okay, so those 12 sons become the founders of the 12 tribes of Judah, right? And no, I don't want to do that. Okay, I was trying to look for something else, but it's being stubborn. So, without going into detail, we see just a little bit here. Tribes of Judah and Benjamin end up forming the southern kingdom of Judah. The tribe of Levi, religious service, the other tribes form the northern kingdom of Israel. So you get the idea. But this is just to explain to you how the 12 sons end up being the ancestors of the 12 tribes of Judah. So let's go back to the book. Anyway, so as we see, right, Esau, and then we have Jacob on the heels, and Isaac was 60 years when she bore them. Okay, that means when she had them. Now we have Isaac was 40, right, when he married Rebekah. Now it's saying 20 years later, okay, 20 years later, she gives birth to 2 kids. Now that's a lot of time. Imagine waiting around for 20 years. So the boys grew up, and Esau was a man, skillful hunter. So he was a hunter by trade, a man of the field, a wild man, right? Which fits the description because he's hairy. But Jacob was a mild man in the dwelling tents, right? And loved Isaac. Esau, because of the game he ate, meaning the meat that he ate. But Rebekah loved Jacob. So Rebekah had a favorite. She had a favorite son, which was Jacob. Okay? And cooked Jacob. So Jacob cooks a stew and came in Esau. So Esau came in from the fields, right? And he was weary, that means tired. And he said to Esau said to Jacob, feed me, please, with the red stew. Talking about there was a meat stew. This, for I am weary, I'm tired. Upon this was called his name Edom. But Jacob said, sell as of this day your birthright. Because Esau was older. So Jacob's like, let me get your birthright from you. Now, the idea of birthright is that as the older child, you had first pick of what you would inherit from your parent. So basically, Jacob is trying to become the one who has first choice. It's kind of like 2 kids, when their parent dies, they go, okay, they get together with all the possessions that their parent has, and they go, hey, here's what I have. You take this, I take this. And usually the older one has first pick. Okay, so Jacob is trying to position himself to have a better pick of the things of the birthright. Now, this might also include a spiritual birthright as well. So Jacob is convincing Esau to sell his birthright. And I am, behold, about to die. So what is this to me? So basically Esau's like, hey, if I don't eat, I'm going to starve. So if I'm going to starve, what good is a birthright to me? And so Esau swore to Jacob. He swore to Jacob, and he sold him his birthright to Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau some bread and the stew of lentils. That means what was in the stew. That it had a lot of lentils, which is a plant, basically. Then he ate. I've seen these in stores. Basically, it's like a form of like some sort of bean or something like that. And then he ate, and then he drank some whatever it was he was drinking. Doesn't say. And he got up and went his way. Thus despised Esau his birthright. So basically, Esau was upset that he sold his birthright. So it's like, hey, you gave your birthright away just for some stew and water. Why would you do that? Now you're upset because you did it? So there's understanding of that. But this is one of 2 videos that I'm going to be doing for right now. Today is, again, another day where another YouTube video is going to be dropped. So you will get, today, you will get uploaded Genesis 25 and Genesis 26. Okay? So the message I'm going to give to you is this. There might be times where you're pressured to make a decision, and at the time the decision might seem very good. So I'm going to use this in connection with what we're supposed to go through in the end times. In the end times, we're going to have a choice of receiving a mark of the beast. And that mark of the beast will be on our right hand or on our forehead. And without that mark, we're going to be without the ability to sell or to buy, including food. Okay? Now, most people are going to say, okay, then it's a good idea to take that mark so that you continue eating. But what good is it to have that mark and continue eating, and yet your soul goes to hell? So in other words, those people, they're going to end up exchanging, just like Esau did. They're going to be exchanging something that is long-term and fruitful for a temporary fix to a situation. So that's how I'm going to relay the story of Esau and Jacob to you. Okay. So anyway, guys, have a good time in your day, and I will see you at the next recording, which will be Genesis 26.